They've far outpaced the market, outpaced the Mag 7 and so forth. So I think what the market is beginning to say is this administration is going to support innovative strategies, anything that will accelerate the growth, increase the productivity of our economy. Deregulation is going to be, we think, a very large part of that. Tax incentives, tax rate cuts as well. You mentioned perhaps the cutback in government spending programs. You know, in our mind, government spending, longer term, is taxation in one form or the other. It's got to be paid for with increased taxes now, increased taxes later, or basically through inflation, inflating away the debt. So we think that's going to be very positive, this drive towards increasing the efficiency of the government, which will then limit the kinds of tax increases we've seen over the last few years. And perhaps even continue to roll back taxes, leaving more for the private sector at the very quickly. And especially if they have anything, if they're at a higher fixed cost base, the robotics industry would be one example of this. They would probably scale faster in the public market. So we think it would be fantastic to have both markets operating efficiently. One encouraged by more M&A activity as we change the leadership at the FTC. And the other one, just enjoying the lower red tape associated with less regulation. So we think this administration is going to be very pro-business. And is going to be that's going to be a big reason that the growth rate of the economy is going to accelerate in the next few years.
Cathie, I do want to get your thoughts on Elon Musk and his role in this administration, particularly given we know that ARK is invested in many, if not all, of his companies. He's wearing a lot of hats, and now he's got the Washington hat on, in theory, starting in January. I mean, how much do you think he can do, given that he's not technically going to be in an official role? And do you worry at all that his work in Washington might come at the expense of the attention to his
percentage points off of real GDP?
Yeah.
So that has to change.
And also to that point, though, Cathie, and I want to, this question is to you, Rebecca, and it really has to do about the idea of business creation. There's been a lot of stats about how business creation has just really shrunk. Now, some of that's just because of the pandemic and a few other things. But there has been a lot of theories about government regulation, government oversight, maybe putting a little bit of a squash on that. Do you hear from that with some of the startups and the entrepreneurs that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when Elon said so himself, right? When Elon can build the rocket faster than he can get it approved to launch, you know, you've got a fundamental problem that's slowing down innovation. So, of course, as a tech CEO, I'm very excited to see what he can accomplish applying engineering concepts to government. As retail capital, you know, from direct to investor retail, we saw even in a down market, 5 issuers that raised on Dealmaker go public on NASDAQ during the last year. So I think as we open up new categories, new ways of building businesses and having those be digital and what that means, there's different things that are going to emerge and different trends that are going to emerge. And definitely,
I think the other thing that has happened is more and more people are seeing videos of the humanoid robot doing all sorts of things that we didn't think were possible as the dexterity in its hands gets so much better.
Yeah, and to your point, analysts over at Mizuho do see idiosyncratic tailwinds over the next 4 years for a company like Tesla upgrading their price target there. So when it comes to autonomous vehicles and all that, there are reports that Honda and Nissan are exploring some kind of tie-up, maybe a merger. Would a combined company create a worthy competitor to Tesla or Chinese EV makers even?
Well, I think that anytime there is a combination of two companies, takes a while for the integration to take place. So if anything, we would think if there is a competitive dynamic from those two companies associated with autonomous, that it will be delayed. More competition for EVs is coming from China, no question. Now, we have very big tariffs already in place to prevent that here in the United States. And we'll see what happens with the administration. Focus on this new asset class. And as they're learning about it, they're saying, wait a minute. This new asset class, or this component of a new asset class, Bitcoin, is going to reach 21 million units out there, 21 million Bitcoin out there at its peak, and no more from there on. Where are we now? We're already above 19.5 million units. And so if institutional investors are looking at this new asset class more seriously, and Bitcoin is really the first of its kind in a new asset class and will be, we believe, the biggest opportunity of them all.
Yeah.
They must consider an allocation. And so supply demand, they're doing the arithmetic, and we see 1 million to 1.5 million by 2030. That the probability of that has increased because of institutional.
Okay, so that's 6 years from now.
Rules-based, it is private, it is digital, it is decentralized, and it is backed by the largest computer in the world, or the largest computing system. It's the most secure network in the world. So that's very important. Gold would be in the same category. Gold is a store of value. And it is fairly scarce. What's interesting, in the last year, with the last halving this April, the increase in Bitcoin, the number of Bitcoin per year, the percentage increase, dropped to roughly 0.9% per year. That is below the 1% long-term growth in the supply of gold. So it is becoming even more scarce than gold. And the difference between gold and Bitcoin is when the gold price goes up, as it has, production goes up. The rate of increase in the supply goes up. That cannot happen with Bitcoin. It is mathematically metered to go up now 0.9% per year for the next 4 years.
And, kind of the growth stage it's in with the change in administration. I'm curious whether crypto companies are a natural customer for Dealmaker in tapping this retail investor base.
Yeah, they haven't been in the past because it was a gray area, and there was a lot of concern about whether it was legal and what they were doing is legal. But we've definitely been considering that on a go forward. I think that will change, which is what the legislation is intended to do. It's intended to clarify what is a security and what is not, and going to be regulated differently as a commodity. And we also think there may be some